Okay, wa versus ga. So wa has four different functions. We're going to go over those four functions first, and then we'll go over the four functions of ga. And then after that, we're going to do some comparison and contrast as to find out when to use wa and when to use ga. All right, so let's get into it. First one, for particle wa, the first function of the four is the topic marker. So, for example, Yuko sensei wa yasashi desu. Yuko sensei is kind. So this is Yuko sensei wa. This is the topic marker. Yasashi, kind, and then des, that's how you end the sentence to make it polite. So here, the wa marks the noun, which is Yuko sensei, as the topic of the sentence. So the topic is something both the speaker and the listener know about. That's very important. Both the speaker and the listener, both people know about it. And the speaker and the listener, they should be able to identify the topic. And the speaker assumes that the listener already knows who Yuko sensei is. So that's what a topic is. So that's why wa is used here. That's function one. Function two of wa is the contrast marker. So for example, tomodachi wa sushi o tabemasen. My friend does not eat sushi. Tomodachi, that's friend. Wa, topic marker. Sushi, sushi. O, that's the direct object marker. Tabemasen, that is do not eat. So my friend does not eat sushi. Here, the wa marks friend as the topic of the sentence. Friend is here. Wa marks friend as the topic of the sentence. But if you have something like this, tomodachi wa sushi wa tabemasen. This also means my friend does not eat sushi. Here. Tomodachi friend, wa topic marker, sushi. This is sushi. Wa, this is actually contrast marker, tabemasen, does not eat. So however, there is something that my friend does eat. So here, the first wa, this wa here, this marks friend as the topic marker of the sentence. And then the second wa is the contrast marker for sushi. So you say it with a bit of a strong tone. So actually it would be like, tomodachi wa sushi wa tabemasen. So this implies that my friend, he does not eat sushi, but then there's something that's left unsaid. However, there's something else that he does eat. So this, however, there's something else that he does eat. This is implied because of this wa as a contrast marker. So it's something that's implied and not said. So let's just go on to a few more examples. We have two people, A-san. So sushi to karaage katta. Taberu? I bought sushi and fried chicken. Will you eat? So this is sushi to and karaage, fried chicken, katta, I purchased. Taberu, so will you eat? So B can either say sushi o taberu or sushi wa taberu. So if B says sushi o taberu, this is I will eat sushi. So sushi, direct object marker, eat. The I is implied, so the full sentence would be watashi wa sushi o taberu. But in Japanese, it's very common to omit the topic when you're talking about it yourself because it's obvious. Like if it's obvious, they just leave it out. So there's an unsaid watashi wa here at the front. So in this sentence, sushi o taberu, we don't know if B will eat the fried chicken. All that we know is that B is going to eat the sushi. But if B says sushi wa taberu, I will eat sushi. Same thing, but this wa, this is the comparison function of wa. So it's like, as for the sushi, I will eat that. And then what's unsaid here is that B will eat the sushi and not the fried chicken. Why not the fried chicken? Because this wa is used. This is the comparison. The sushi is being compared to the karaage, the fried chicken. So as for the sushi, I will eat that. But this thing that's left unsaid, that's implied, is that the karaage, I will not eat that. So that's the same thing as saying this right here. Sushi wa taberu kedo, karaage wa tabenai. So I will eat the sushi, but I won't eat the fried chicken. So sushi, that's a comparison marker. Taberu, eat, kedo, but. karage, that's the fried chicken. This is the other comparison marker here. Wa tabenai, will not eat. So here, both particles are used to contrast the sushi and the fried chicken. So you can say this as a full sentence, but commonly when Japanese people speak, they would just leave the first part, but they would leave the last part out, this kedo karage wa tabenai, because it's implied. Japanese, they have this culture of reading the air, or kuki o yomenai to ikenai. So it's like they want to have a lot of stuff that's implied. They don't want to be too direct. They need to be very indirect in their language. It's kind of confusing with English, where you say more things directly, but it's kind of like they don't want to be too direct, so they just don't say it, and they want you to kind of read their mind and understand that they don't want you to eat they're not going to eat the fried chicken. So yeah, you just really have to learn those subtle nuances, Japanese. But anyway, let's keep going. A few more examples. 私は昨日 Zippy's で昼ご飯を食べませんでした. So I did not eat lunch at Zippy's yesterday. Here, 私, that's I. Wa, that's the topic marker. 昨日, yesterday. Zippy's, that's the restaurant name. De, this is the location of the action marker. So that's the location of the action. It's happening at Zippy's. Hiru gohan, that is lunch. Oh, direct topic marker. Tabemasen deshita, that is the past polite tense of eat. So that's number one. Number two, you can change it a little bit to have it say, 私は昨日は Zippy's で昼ご飯を食べませんでした. So here, I did not eat Zippy's at lunch yesterday. And then what's unsaid is I ate Zippy's, or I ate lunch at Zippy's on a different day. So here, this wa, this is the comparison. So it's in English, it's kind of like saying, oh, I didn't eat lunch at Zippy's yesterday. You know how there's that emphasis on yesterday? So what's implied is that you did eat lunch at Zippy's. It was just on a different day. So this comparison is comparing yesterday as opposed to other days. You can also change the wa to have it in different locations. So instead of having the wa after kino, you can have it after the Zippy's de. So here, number three, 私は昨日 Zippy's では昼ご飯を食べませんでした. So this de wa, this is comparing the location of Zippy's as opposed to other locations. So for example, in English, I did not eat lunch at Zippy's yesterday. So at Zippy's, so that's implied that you ate lunch somewhere else yesterday. It's just you're not going to say where that was. It's just as for Zippy's, as opposed to other places, Zippy's is a place where I did not eat lunch. And then you can also have it after hiru gohan. 私は昨日 Zippy's で昼ご飯は食べませんでした. So here in English it would be like, I didn't eat, or I did not eat lunch at Zippy's yesterday, but I did eat something else at Zippy's yesterday. So here, this wa is comparing the lunch compared to other meals. So maybe yesterday they ate breakfast or dinner. It's just they're not going to say. They're just specifying that as for the lunch, as opposed to other meals, the lunch, they didn't eat it there at Zippy's yesterday. So that was function 2 of wa comparison. Next, function 3. Universal things. So, when describing a noun with adjectives, usually use the noun plus ga, and then an adjective is commonly used. So, for example, 誰々さんは目が茶色. So, as for Mr. blah blah blah, his eye is brown, or Mr. blah 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 has brown eyes. So, here the noun, the noun would be me. This is I. Then ga is over here. And then you would have the adjective. This is chairo, brown. So this is the common sentence structure. You can also have something like 買った靴が小さい. The shoes I purchased are small, or the shoes I bought are small. So 買った靴, this is the shoes that I bought. が小さい. So noun, the kutsu, that's the noun. が, and then chisai, that's the adjective. So that's how it's typically used. But when describing the universal things that do not change, wa is used and not ga. So up here we were using the ga and then the adjective. Here we're using wa and then the adjective. So here wa, and then adjective. So first one, hi wa atsui. Fire is hot. Yuki wa shiroi. So why do we use the wa here and not the ga? Why? Because this is universal information. This is common information that everyone knows and it's accepted to be true. So for example, if we did change this wa to ga, if we said hi ga atsui, it sounds strange because it implies that fire is normally not hot. So that's why we will use the wa as opposed to the ga here. So this is for the universal things. Here, in the example sentences above, these sentences are not universal. It's not something that's commonly known, you know. So yeah, that was number 3, and then number 4 function of wa is at least. So you can say something like eki made 2 kilo wa aru. So it is at least 2 kilometers to the station. So normally you would say, if you wanted to say it another way, it's like it is 2 kilometers to the station. You can say eki made 2 kilo desu. You would, instead of the wa aru, you can say desu. But because wa aru is here, this wa means at least. So at least 2 kilometers to the station. Eki is station, made is until, 2 that's 2, or ni 2, kilo that's kilometers, wa aru. So this is at least. Another example sentence we have is 彼女は30歳は超えていると思う. I think she has at least surpassed 30 years old. That's the direct translation, but more natural translation in natural English would be, I think she is at least 30 years old. So if you directly translated it, it would be 彼女, that's she. Wa, this is the topic marker. Sanju, 30. Sai, this is the counter for years, so 30 years. Wa, this would mean at least, so at least 30 years old. Koeteru, this is surpassed, that's why I put surpassed here. So she has at least passed the age of 30. To omo, I think. That's I think here. So those are the 4 functions of wa. Next, let's get into the 4 functions of ga. So for ga, first function is subject marker. That's when you describe something that you see that's in front of your eyes. So for example, tsuki ga kirei desu. The moon is beautiful. And this is actually like the moon that I am looking at is beautiful. So tsuki, that's moon. Ga, that is the subject marker. Kirei, beautiful, desu, and that's how you end the polite sentence. So this moon, when you say this sentence, because you're using ga, at the time you're saying this sentence, the moon is actually in front of your eyes. It's not something that you're just imagining in your head. If you did say tsuki wa kirei desu, then that would mean also that the moon is beautiful, but the speaker assumes that the listener knows what the moon is and is saying that it's beautiful. So the moon is not in front of the speaker's eyes. So here the wa would function as like a topic marker, or it could be maybe the universal things. But here, main thing is that in this sentence, the moon is in front of the speaker's eyes. Here, the moon is not in front of the speaker's eyes. So that's the first function. Second function is to give new information in a sentence. So, for example, その居酒屋が人気なんだって. I heard that izakaya is popular. その, that. Izakaya, that's like a Japanese bar. Ga, this marks the new information. 人気なんだって. So 人気, that is popular. なんだって, I heard that. So here, the new information is about the izakaya. And then B would say, へえ、その居酒屋はどんなビルがあるかな? This へえ, that's oh. That, その, that, izakaya, that's a bar. Wa, this is the topic marker. Donna, what kind of? Biru, beer. ga aru kana? It has. Alright, so here the ga is used in the first sentence because it introduces new information. A and B were not talking about the izakaya earlier in the conversation. So this ga introduces the izakaya into the conversation. And then once the izakaya has been introduced into the conversation, wa is used instead of ga. Here, wa is used instead of ga. So after izakaya, that's after izakaya, because the wa marks the izakaya as the topic of the sentence. So here, wa marks izakaya as the topic. Why? Because both A and B now know about the izakaya. Here, izakaya was never introduced into the sentence, into the conversation before. So it's introducing the new information. That's why we use ga up here. Right, it marks that as an introduction of the contents. Okay, and then wa cannot be used as a topic marker in the first sentence because we're assuming that B does not know which izakaya is A is talking about. Yeah, so if we used wa up here, then it's like the izakaya has already been introduced into the conversation. But just use ga because it's been introduced. It's being introduced for the first time. Another example is right here, mukashi mukashi osama ga imashita. So a long, long time ago, mukashi mukashi, osama, king, ga. This introduces the new information. Imashita, there was. So once upon a time, there was a king. The ga introduces the new information, the king. And then after this, you would say, osama wa shiro ni sundemashita. So the king lived in a castle. Here, the king is the topic of the sentence, so we use wa, not ga. So here, you use ga because you're introducing the new information, the osama, the king, to the conversation or the person listening. Now the person listening knows about the osama, the king, and you know about the king. So since both you and the other person know about the king becomes the topic, not the subject. So since it's the topic, you use the topic marker wa here. All right, next one. Number 3, fixed sentence pattern. This is for ga functions. Topic wa subject ga nani nani. So here, the subject is a smaller part of the sentence. So for example, topic wa subject ga. Here topic is tori. Tori wa tsubasa ga nimai aru. Topic is the bird. Wa topic marker. Tsubasa wings. Ga subject marker. And then this is more information about the subject nimai aru. So 2 wings there are. So birds have 2 wings. All right, bird is the topic, so use wa. Wings is the subject, so use ga. So the wings are a smaller part of the topic. The wings are a smaller part of the bird. Another example is zo wa hana ga nagai desu. Here, topic is elephant, subject is the noses. So the subject, the noses, is a smaller part of the topic. Noses is a smaller part of the elephant. That's why you have that wa and ga. That's the fixed sentence pattern. Another one is ga plus ski. Ski is like. Kirai, which is hate. We can do ga kirai. Ga jozu, good at. But don't use this one for yourself. I'll get back into that a little later. Ga heta, bad at. Ga tokui, comfortable with. And ga nigate, so uncomfortable with. So for jozu, this is one thing that a lot of beginners tend to mess up in Japanese. So when you say jozu, you never say jozu for yourself. In English, you would say, yeah, I'm good at maybe basketball. But in Japanese, that sounds kind of arrogant, and it's just not the way they speak in Japanese. So if you want to say I'm good at basketball, it's better to say basket ga tokui desu. Here, tokui. So I'm comfortable with basketball. That's more natural in Japanese. You wouldn't say basket ga jozu desu. You only say basket ga jozu when you're talking about somebody else who is not yourself. All right. So yeah, 私はバスケが 得意です。Or you can say 私はバスケが好きです。私はバスケが嫌いです。私はバスケが下手です。私はバスケが苦手です。Alright, that's number 3. Last one, function 4, question word plus ga. So, どれがあなたの本ですか? Or, いつがいいですか? So, here you have the question word. So, which book is yours? So, どれ, that's the question word. Ga, あなた, your book ですか? Which one is your book? Or, いつ, when. So, that's the question word. When ga いいですか? When is good. So, here you cannot use wa instead of ga because the topic is something that you should know. So here, if you said dore wa or itsu ga, you can't use that because if you're asking a question about something you don't know, it just doesn't make sense to use that as a topic because as a topic, you should know it. So whenever it's a question, just use qua. Just use ga after that. All right, so that was wa, that was ga, 4 functions of each, and then now let's go into some comparison and contrast of the two. So, for example, we have コンサートは私が or 私はピアノを弾く。So, concert, concert は that is for the topic marker or it could be contrast marker. 私 and then after this do we put が do we put はピアノを弾く so play the piano. So you can use が here. It's possible to use が。コンサートは私がピアノを弾く。So here, I will play the piano at the concert. And then because we're using が, there's no implication about what other people will do. This is just giving the new information. Here, concert is the topic. The wa is the topic marker. Here, that's the topic marker. Ga introduces the new information. Here, ga introduces the new information, which is watashi. But you can also say, コンサートは私はピアノを弾く. I will play the piano at the concert. But what's implied here is that you imply that you will play the piano and that other people will not play the piano. So here, concert is the topic, concert. Wa, that's the topic. That's the first wa. And then also for the second wa here, watashi wa, this is the contrast marker. Wa. So I myself will play the piano. But as for the other people, what they're not saying, other people, they're mentioning that because of the contrast marker wa, they will not play the piano. So that's what you imply with by using this second wa here. Another one is that we have is ga new information versus wa contrast marker. So, for example, the okasan or the mom can say, 運動会は走る? 息子 can say, 僕は走らないけど、友達は走る. Here, wa is used as a contrast marker. So we use wa to contrast the watashi and then the tomodachi. So here, contrast marker for boku and tomodachi. Here we cannot use ga because they're contrasting these two things. Your friend and yourself. But if you changed it, the mom says the same question. Okasan says, 運動会は走る? And then the son says, or the musuko says, 僕は走らない. Then end the sentence. 友達が走る. So here, the wa can be interpreted as either a topic marker or a contrast marker. This wa right here. So this can be either topic, so marking boku or I as the topic, or it can be a contrast, so contrasting myself or the speaker as opposed to other students maybe or his friends. And then since tomodachi ga hashiru is a separate sentence, ga is used to introduce new information into the conversation. Here the new information is that the friend, which the mom did not know about previously, so this ga would introduce the friend as a new information. So here, since it's broken up, this ga, new information, introducing the friend, the wa marking boku as the subject. Alright, so that was it. The wa versus ga. I know it's kind of a lot, so feel free to watch the video one more time or maybe 2 or 3 more times. Kind of watch it slowly, take some notes. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.